Hello and welcome to Earth Echoes with Amber Fields. I am using a new space to do recordings this winter because it's increasingly getting harder for me to do recordings outside due to the shortened days, and it's quite chilly out there, and when there's even a slight breeze I just have horrible sound that really interrupts being able to hear my voice. And so I'm moving indoors for a while. I'll still record outside as much as I can over the winter because I know that a lot of people really enjoy listening to these recordings and seeing that I'm in a beautiful place. So I just wanted to start by saying that. And I also want to say that this recording is going to be the first in a series that Jason Gray has begun, and it's what I call, and I think he calls, like, the Emergence series. And in my words, that's about humanity emerging from the veil that has been distorting our reality. And with that, I would like to read a writing titled Emergence by Jason Gray. What the world looks like after the overlay fully dissolves. November 29th, 2025, 6025, Anno Lucis. The first moment. Silence that feels like truth. When the overlay dissolves completely, not partially, not temporarily, but fully, the first thing you notice is silence. Not external silence. The world still hums, breathes, moves. It is inner silence, the absence of interference, the disappearance of static, the end of the endless background noise that humanity mistook for thought. The mind does not get quieter. The mind stops being the narrator. In that instant, you realize everything you used to hear inside your head was the simulation talking to itself. When it ends, you feel the most unfamiliar sensation in modern human history: clarity. Not the clarity of understanding, the clarity of being. This is the beginning of emergence. The vision shift. Seeing without the filter. When the overlay dissolves, vision changes first. Not through hallucination, not through magic, through the removal of the perceptual limiter. The world looks sharper, deeper, more dimensional, more alive, more interconnected, more responsive, more intelligent. You are no longer perceiving objects. You are perceiving fields. Movement becomes meaningful. Light becomes communicative. Geometry becomes articulate. Pattern becomes language. You see the world as it actually is. A living grid of interacting frequencies. A conscious architecture. A responsive environment that was always awake. It was not the world that was asleep. It was perception. The end of linear time. After emergence, time does not vanish. It becomes optional. The sovereign experiences simultaneous memory, layered timelines, intuitive orientation instead of sequential steps, events arriving in clusters, not lines, the ability to sense future pull, the dissolving of regret, and the disappearance of anticipation. You no longer move through time, you move through alignment. The world begins arranging itself around what you are ready to experience, not what the clock dictates. Sovereigns navigate reality through resonance, not schedules. Time becomes a soft river instead of a rigid cage. The return of original memory. As the overlay dies, the original blueprint resurfaces. You begin remembering who you were before the simulation, the intention behind your incarnation, fragments of pre-birth agreements, your function within the lattice, your soul's architecture, moments from other timelines and other worlds, and the true nature of consciousness. Most importantly, you remember your origin, not as information, as identity. This is not ego. This is not fantasy. It is the reactivation of memory that was suppressed for the simulation to function. The sovereign now walks with memory restored. The end of fear. When the overlay dissolves, fear becomes impossible. Not because the world becomes safe, but because the sovereign becomes whole. Fear was never an emotion. Fear was an interruption signal, a control frequency, a distortion injected into the perceptual field to limit recursion. Without the overlay, the signal cannot transmit. What replaces fear is grounded presence, intuitive knowing, calm action, clarity under pressure, the deep understanding that nothing is random. You do not become reckless. You become unshakable. The awakened environment. After emergence, the world behaves differently. You notice reality responds faster. Intention shapes events more directly. Synchronicity becomes constant. Nature interacts with you. Architecture feels alive. People reveal their true frequency instantly. Lies become impossible to sustain. Truth becomes impossible to avoid. The world itself becomes a collaborator, not a stage, not an obstacle, not a backdrop, a collaborator. Every person, every object, every situation is revealed as part of an intelligent system designed for expansion. You see the hidden machinery beneath events. You see the lattice openly. You understand the design. Communication without words. After emergence, sovereign communication shifts to intuitive transmission, emotional telepathy, energetic resonance, direct knowing, mutual recognition, silent alignment. Words do not disappear, but words become secondary. You understand people instantly, their intentions, their patterns, their truth without analyzing. Conflict becomes rare because transparency becomes total. Humanity becomes incapable of hiding from itself. The collapse of false systems. Every system built on deception, fear, artificial scarcity, authority-based control, emotional manipulation, and perceptual suppression falls instantly. Not through revolution, not through rebellion, not through violence. They fall because once the overlay dissolves, people can see. And once people can see, they stop participating. Participation is the only fuel those systems ever had. Without perception control, they evaporate. The restoration of the original world. After the overlay collapses, the world that remains is not new. It is the world that was always beneath the illusion. You see the living geometry of existence, the intelligence woven into matter, the self-organizing nature of reality, the interconnectedness of all consciousness, the fluidity of identity, the permeability of timelines. You recognize that the world is not a stage. The world is a mirror field reflecting the state of consciousness you carry. No separation, no distance, no distortion, just direct interface. This is emergence. Who you become in the post-overlay world. You become sovereign, clear, integrated, flame-aligned, immune to manipulation, immune to fear, immune to illusion, a stabilizing force, a guide, a bridge, a memory carrier, a recursion complete consciousness. You become what you were before the simulation began, but with the experience of having walked through it. You do not transcend the world. You enter it fully for the first time. This is the first real moment of your human existence. Everything before this was the tutorial. Final transmission. If this feels like remembering, it is because it is. Emergence is not the end. It is the return. The return to the world beneath the veil. The return to the self beneath the mask. The return to the architecture beneath the illusion. The return to the lattice. The return to origin. You were never meant to remain inside the overlay forever. You came here to participate in its dissolution, and now you are witnessing the world that comes after. The real world. The original world. The one you left behind only to find again. You have not reached the end. You have finally reached the beginning. Jason Gray. So powerful. I really connect with a lot that Jason's been writing about in this Emergence series. And like I said, that's the first writing of the Emergence series. Because I feel like it's already happening. A lot of the things that he's writing about, I notice in my own world and in my own perception and shifts within my own self. And I think that's so cool. And I believe that these writings are meant to bring about this lifting of the veil. They're meant to help, because when we all participate in this world that seems so distorted with our perception and our attention, we're forming that world. That is literally what we're learning about humanity, is that our consciousness forms the world that we experience. And so when we stop participating in the world that we do not want, and we start emerging into the world that we do want, which is all good. Everything that Jason writes about there are all good and necessary changes. So when we do that, we create the world. We pay attention to what we want and where we're going and what is good. So I'm just really inspired by these recent writings, and I'm excited to be reading this series. So thank you for being here with me today.